say she's got a few years. The 200-meter world record is a ticking time bomb. We're all just waiting for it to happen, including Jackson herself. Lastly, as a tribute, I can't forget the GOAT, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce.
Not on this occasion, she's not, no. The pair of them with a 2-meter gap behind them. The winning time, 10.60, and the win, 1.7. At last they get a...
Also known as the Mummy Rocket, which I'm glad she likes because I sure as hell wouldn't like to be called that. Her 2022 season's average speaks for itself. The greatest women's 100-meter season of all time, at age 35. She's even run 3 of the 10 fastest times ever, and all of them were done well past the age of 30. I've said it once, but she is the LeBron James of sprinting. But I don't think she'll be contesting the world record at age 37. Realistically, she is past her prime, and she's even announced next year as her final season, retiring after the 2024 Olympics. At the end of the day, Flojo's world records of 10.49 and 21.34 were phenomenally executed performances, but they're a bit of an eyesore at this point. 35 years, with controversies so deep, documentaries have been made on them. But here we are, heading into an Olympic year with an aging cast of the strongest women's lineup to ever hit the track. Elaine Thompson-Herah, coming back from injury, undoubtedly with some extra motivation after watching some historic races go down without her. Sha'Carri Richardson, with a matured outlook and belief in herself to be the world's best. Shericka Jackson, literally a windy day away from the record. And the GOAT herself, Fraser-Pryce, firing up for her last season of competition ever. Not to mention the literal dozen of other women who would be world champions in any other era. Even if the record doesn't go down, next year's 2024 Olympics is going to be fucking remarkable. Cheers for watching.
In women's sprinting, there's some debate surrounding the topic of who should be recognised as the greatest of all time. Some sprinting pundits have remarked that Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is the undisputed GOAT of women's sprinting due to her medals and longevity, and have also said that she's even eclipsed Usain Bolt as the greatest 100-meter sprinter when comparing both male and female athletes.
She's got to be the greatest 100-meter sprinter the world has ever seen, including Bolt, male or female, doesn't matter.
I'm saying yes, to have her 5th medal solidifies her as the greatest of all time.
This is a take I don't agree with personally, but in this video I'm going to be looking back at the accomplishments of the best female sprinters in history to rank who is the greatest female athlete across both the 100 and 200 meters. Flojo reached the greatest peak of any female sprinter in 1988, having set world records in both the 100 and 200 meters, which still stand to this day, while also securing the gold medal in both events at the Seoul Olympics. Despite the controversy surrounding her world records, particularly the recorded wind reading of 0 in her 10.49 run, I personally disagree with the argument that her records have ruined women's sprinting, and I believe that her setting the bar so high is contributing to the incredible performances we see happening today. The gap between her world records and the second fastest runs of all time has closed dramatically in recent years, which is helping to expand the perception of what's seen as possible on the track. When Flojo ran 10.49, there was evidence to suggest that the wind was blowing directly across the track, and seeing how she has also ran 10.61 and 10.62 with a legal tailwind, as well as an equivalently remarkable time of 21.34 in the 200. I think it's fair to say that she was just far superior to all other athletes. Many track fans will agree that she had the greatest form across both male and female athletes, but despite her amazing execution, a lot of fans will point to the fact that she has only won 2 individual gold medals as a means of downplaying her greatness. I don't think this should be held against her, because in the past it was more common for athletes to disappear from the sport after achieving Olympic gold, since the first World Championships were only established in 1983 and were much more of an afterthought, with the first 3 editions having a 4-year gap between competitions. Flojo did take silver in the 200 meters at the 1987 World Champs, but prolonging her career to try to take gold at the 91 World Champs and 92 Olympics, when she had already proved herself as being light years ahead of her competition, didn't seem necessary. An example of an athlete who only ran 1 season but is still regarded as a legendary figure for his performances during that season, is Bob Hayes. The same point can also be made for athletes such as Jim Hines and Tommy Smith, all of which I don't think compare to Flojo in terms of single season dominance. If we're taking Olympic medals as the highest accolade in the sport, given that the event only comes around once every 4 years, then Elaine Thompson-Herah has a strong case to make in the GOAT argument, given that she's won Olympic gold twice in both the 100 and 200 metres. She also currently holds the Olympic record of 10.61 and has run the second fastest time ever in the event of 10.54. Thompson has the second most sub 10.8 100 metre times with 17, which shows how regularly she can hit elite times, even though she had multiple seasons hampered by injuries, and in the 200 metres, she holds a personal best of 21.53, which ranks her as the third fastest woman of all time in the event. Seeing that she's shown a return to form at the end of the 2023 season with some impressive performances, it's not out of the question that she retains her Olympic crown in Paris next year. If she finishes her career with 6 individual Olympic gold medals, I think she will have to be considered the GOAT of women's sprinting. Even by achieving the triple in just one event, it will propel her to legendary status since no female athlete has done it before. One athlete who looked to be on path to becoming the greatest was Marion Jones, who in 1998 became the second fastest woman ever in both the 100 and 200 metres with 10.65 and 21.62. She wouldn't manage to lower these personal bests again, but went on to win 100 and 200 gold at the Olympics in 2000, with these wins eventually being scratched off as disqualifications in 2007 once she admitted to past use of PEDs. She still maintains the gold medals she won in the 100 metres at the World Champs in 1997 and 99. The woman who has recently come closest to breaking one of Flojo's world records has been Shericka Jackson, who ran 21.41 to win the 200 metres at this year's World Championships in Budapest, and currently holds 5 of the 8 fastest times in history in the event. She's won back-to-back gold medals in the World Championships, and as things stand, it doesn't look like anyone's going to be able to challenge her at the Olympics next year, which might just be the perfect stage for her to break Flojo's record of 21.34. When it comes to the 100 metres, she's the joint 5th fastest woman in history and has been making significant improvements with each season, seeing as she's still a relative newcomer to the event, running her first sub-11 in 2021, with her base in sprinting being built in the 400 metres. This leads me to believe that despite her age of 29, she's only starting to enter her prime years and could end up running 10.5 in the not too distant future. Surprisingly, she has already run under 10.8 a total of 14 times, which is the third most after Elaine Thompson and Fraser Price. This stat helps put into perspective just how consistently she is running world-class times, and she may even be slightly underrated as a 100 sprinter, just because she has yet to win a major gold in the event, seeing as she's competing in the most deeply talented era we've ever seen. If Jackson wins an Olympic gold in the 200 metres and manages to break the world record during her career, she'll go down as the GOAT of women's 200 metre sprinting. What it would take to propel her to becoming the GOAT in sprinting overall is hard to assess at this point, but in addition to the hypotheticals mentioned for the 200, she would need at least an Olympic 100 metre gold while running even faster times than she's recorded already. Another female sprinter who some would consider to have gold potential is Sha'Carri Richardson. Richardson won this year's 100 metre final in Budapest, beating out Jackson and Fraser Price, and while she hasn't ran under 10.8 as much as Jackson, with her current tally standing at 9, she has been running 10.7 since she was only 19, and it seems that her early promise is now starting to show its rewards. Richardson has run under 10.8 wind-aided on 5 occasions, including her annulled run from the 2021 Olympic trials, with her fastest time under all conditions being the 10.57 she ran earlier this season. A common saying in the track world is that if the body has gone there once, it can go there again. So with Richardson having so many fast runs under her belt at just 23 years old, while also executing a flawless race in the final at her first ever major championships, it's easy to see why many people think she has what it takes to one day become the GOAT female sprinter. This optimism comes even without her having ran any exceptionally fast times in the 200 metres, although she showed this year that she could earn her place on the podium by taking the bronze medal in Budapest with a time of 21.92. Seeing as she is a shorter sprinter like Fraser Price, it would seem instinctive for the 100 metres to be the event she excels in, but the fact that she runs in a very relaxed and efficient manner, allowing exceptional speed maintenance, means we may see her making big improvement to her 200 metre times in the coming years. Given that she ran a time of 21.61 this year in the heats of the US Champs with a tailwind of plus 2.6, there are signs that she has a lot of potential in the event. In my video ranking the female athletes with the greatest sprinting form ever, I ranked Richardson in 7th place, but having seen just how composed she was able to stay while making up a large deficit in the World Champ semi-final, followed by flawless execution in the final, I have to say that she may have the best technique of any active sprinter right now. With the Paris Olympics taking place in 2024, the gold medal for Richardson in the 100 metres will put her on a trajectory where she could equal or improve upon the Olympic medal hauls of the sprinting greats that have gone before her. Having switched my focus in recent months to making longer, more researched videos, I've had less opportunity to continue creating the kind of videos that helped to launch my channel, which included race compilations, fastest times videos, and every race of athletes' careers. One issue with uploading these videos is that any new performance from an athlete could leave these videos outdated soon after upload. So if I kept these videos updated, your subscription feed will be clogged with repetitive videos. Since I had a list of dozens of unfinished videos I believe my subscribers would like to see, I decided to take time away from creating longer form videos so that I could make a library of videos on all of these additional topics. This library of additional videos will be hosted on my recently created Patreon account, with the benefit to hosting them on Patreon being that videos will be updated whenever a new relevant performance occurs. I've uploaded 20 new videos exclusively to Patreon for anyone who would like to become a member, and some of these videos include Sha'Carri Richardson all sub 11-second races, Noah Lyles all sub 20-second races, the fastest 200 metre run from every lane, and a new sprinting comebacks montage. I'll also be uploading a series where I take a look back at the biggest rivalries in track and rewatch all of the old battles, breaking down the race performances. If you'd like to help contribute to the channel, which will allow me to commit more time to delivering more frequent and higher quality content for YouTube, please consider becoming a member today. Going back to what the track pundit said at the beginning of the video about Fraser Price being the GOAT, when we are looking at just women's 100 metre accomplishments, it's hard to argue against that, since she has won 2 Olympic gold medals and 5 World Championship gold medals. In the 200 metres, she has a personal best of 21.79 and 1 gold medal from the 2013 World Championships. In the 100 metres, her personal best stands at 10.60, which is the 3rd fastest performance of all time, and she has run by far the most sub 10.8s of any athlete with 32. Her sub 10.7 tally is even more impressive, having gone under the mark on 9 occasions, and given her 100 metre dominance, a lot of people will place her as the best women's sprinter period, despite her not having the same level of dominance in the 200. To conclude this video, I separated athletes into different tiers on what I consider to be the GOAT pyramid, and starting with tier 3, the final arrangement is Gail Devers, Carmelita Jeter, Gwen Torrence, Sha'Carri Richardson, Marlies Gore, Silke Muller, Barbel Wachel, and Renate Stecher. In tier 2, I included Veronica Campbell-Brown, Marlene Ottey, Marion Jones, Marita Koch, Evelyn Ashford, Shericka Jackson, and Allyson Felix. In tier 1, I included Elaine Thompson-Herah, Florence Griffith-Joyner, and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Having not yet gone into detail on some of the athletes I've named, I'm going to give a quick rundown on the remaining athletes in tier 2, with Evelyn Ashford and Marita Koch both being the last athletes to hold the world records before FloJo. Ashford's former world record in the 100 metres was 10.76, and she has 1 Olympic gold medal in the event from 1984. Marita Koch's former world record in the 200 metres was 21.71, and she has 1 World Championships gold in the event from 1983. Both athletes have impressive personal bests in both events, particularly compared to the other athletes at the time. Merlene Ottey has impressive PBs of 10.74 and 21.64 and has won World Championship gold twice in the 200 metres, along with an array of other medals in an incredible 30-plus year career. Before Fraser-Pryce started dropping world-leading times in her mid-30s, Ottey was the undisputed queen of longevity, and given that she was still able to run under 11 seconds at 40 years old, many will say that she still is. Veronica Campbell-Brown is another Jamaican athlete who holds marginally slower personal bests than Ottey, but when it comes to winning gold medals, Campbell-Brown achieved a level of success beyond what Ottey was able to. In the 100 metres, Campbell-Brown has won World Championship gold once in 2007, and in her favourite event of the 200 metres, she has won World Championship gold once in 2011 and Olympic gold twice in 2004 and 2008. These Olympic victories came during an era where she faced extremely tough competition from another one of the sprinting greats, Allyson Felix. Having taken silver in both 04 and 08, Felix finally took the gold in 2012 when she stormed to a comfortable win. This took her gold medal tally in the 200 metres to 4, having finished first at the World Champs in 3 consecutive championships from 05 to 09. While she placed a great deal of focus on the 400 metres, she did still have a 100 metre personal best of 10.89, despite having no major medals in the event, which I think still warrants her a place in this tier. Do you agree with my greatest female sprinter of all time tier list? And who else would you include? Please leave your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Constipation got you feeling a little blocked up? Take Fibergel every day. It harnesses the power of fiber to help you get back to regularity. Find your groove with Fibergel.
I was thinking we could spice things up a bit.
The trouble is
On the 17th of February 2024, Letsile Tebogo broke the 300 metre world record by more than a tenth of a second with a time of 30.69. Having broken the world junior record in the 100 metres in 2022 with a time of 9.91, Tebogo entered the conversation of athletes who could potentially break one of the senior sprinting world records in the coming years. Before this 300 metre race, Tebogo's best time in the 300 metres was the 31.52 he ran in 2023, which placed him as the 8th fastest athlete in the event all time. This season's world record-breaking performance puts him ahead of athletes such as Wade van Niekerk, Michael Johnson and Usain Bolt, the 3 other athletes to run under 31 seconds in the event, with Van Niekerk's time ran in 2017, just a year after he set his 400 metre world record. Speaking of the 400 metres, on the 18th of March 2024, Tebogo lowered his personal best in the event to 44.29, which places him as the 60th fastest athlete of all time in the 400 metres. And with such a smooth race execution, it looks like we may not have to wait too long until he's able to run under 44 seconds. This race placed him as the #1 ranked athlete in the 400 metres this season, and just a week later he also took the world lead in the 200 metres with a finishing time of 19.94 to record the first sub-20 second race of the season. What makes Tebogo such a remarkable athlete is although his finishing strength in the longer sprint disciplines catches the most attention with a very patient race strategy and gradual acceleration, he actually has an incredible ability to accelerate in the first 10 to 30 metres when running in the 100 as well. In the 100 metre final at the 2023 World Championship, Tebogo was actually the first athlete in the field to reach the 10 metre mark in a time of 1.86 seconds, even ahead of Coleman, who reached it in 1.88 seconds. When we remove reaction time, Tebogo still had the fastest 10 metre split with 1.73, with Coleman again in second. When we look at 30 metre splits, Coleman made it to the 30 metre mark first in 3.82 seconds, but Tebogo was just slightly behind in 3.84 seconds. When we remove reaction times, their positions remain the same. Although this wasn't Coleman in his absolute peak form, the fact that Tebogo was leading the race from the gun in the world final, albeit for a short amount of time, shows just how little weaknesses he has in his race ability. When we think of athletes who had an incredible start in the 100 metres come championship time, but also had the finishing speed and power to excel in the 200 and 300 meters. The first athlete that comes to mind has to be Usain Bolt. With Letsile Tebogo being only 20 years old and already performing at such a high level, I think that it's hard to put a cap on expectations for what he might be able to accomplish in the sport, given how quickly he appears to be improving. Since we can easily label Usain Bolt as the best sprinter of his generation, it's an interesting question to ask who is the best sprinter of the post-Bolt generation. With the athletes in the post-Bolt generation still having a long time left in their careers, there is the question of whether to look at accomplishments so far or perceived talent level. When we look at accomplishments, I don't think any sprinter has achieved more in the post-Bolt era than Noah Lyles, given that he has the 4th fastest 200-meter time ever, along with 3 consecutive World Championship golds in the event, 1 World Champs gold in the 100, and 2 golds in the 4x1. If we are to look at talent level, Lyles is of course right up there for the current generation of athletes, and he had some breakout performances at the age of 21 when he set his PBs in the 100 and 200 that stood for several years, but his progress has been quite incremental since his early 20s. Another athlete with extreme talent and potential is the 20-year-old Erriyon Knighton, but with his focus solely being on the 200 meters, it's hard to rank him as being more talented than Tebogo, seeing as Tebogo is the more versatile athlete. Holding personal bests of 9.88, 19.50, 30.69 and 44.29 at 20 years old leads me to conclude that Tebogo is the most talented sprinter of his generation with the highest ceiling as things stand. With people expecting Tebogo to run faster, it wouldn't surprise me if he clocks faster PBs in the 100 and 200 than Noah Lyles holds currently, although it wouldn't surprise me if Lyles breaks his own PBs as well in the near future. With my assessment of Tebogo being the most talented sprinter of the current generation, let's look at the athletes who could be considered the most talented of the previous generations. Bolt holds the label for his generation, with Johan Blake most likely in 2nd place. You could put Asafa Powell in 3rd place since he ran like a natural-born sprinter, but his relatively late bloom in the sport is contrasting to the juniors' dominating talents of Bolt and Blake. Perhaps Gatlin could be considered 3rd ranked, but let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. In the generation preceding Bolt, we have athletes such as Maurice Green, Ato Boldon, Donovan Bailey, Frank Fredericks and Bruni Surin, with Dwayne Chambers also being extremely fast at junior level, being just 100th of a second behind the world junior record at the time. I would have to say that the most talented athlete of this generation was Maurice Green, which isn't exactly a surprise selection, although he did benefit from masterful coaching and race execution, although he still had to put it all together and had the raw gifts to do so.
Still doesn't seem why I'm over here, then I'm here, I'm all over this damn lane.
Nothing really wrong with it. You're not completing your limbs. Let's put it this way, you're so fucking gifted, your gift is working against you now.
Seeing as Donovan Bailey only began taking track seriously at the age of 23, having left the sport after high school to work a regular job, it shows that he had an incredible level of natural talent to go on and break the world record at age 28. While still in high school age 16, he was able to run 100 meters in 10.65 seconds. In the generation preceding Green and Bailey, we have Ben Johnson, Carl Lewis, Linford Christie and Calvin Smith. For this generation, it would seem like Johnson could be the easiest choice because he ran by far the fastest time of that era, but since his records were stripped, his accomplishments could be attributed to banned substances, with his performances in his early 20s being nothing remarkable. I don't think we can go with anyone but Carl Lewis as the most talented sprinter of this generation, but it's an interesting choice between Linford Christie or Calvin Smith for 2nd and 3rd place. Christie has the better resume in the 100 meters, having 10 sub-10 second clockings to Smith's 4, although Smith was a 100 meter world record holder, while Christie has a 100-meter Olympic gold and a faster PB of 9.87 compared to Smith's 9.93. Smith, however, won 2 World Championship golds in the 200 metres while they were spaced 4 years apart, while Christie never received a major medal in the 200 in his career. With Smith having an unorthodox running style and a smaller frame, I'm inclined to give him the edge as being the more naturally talented sprinter over the more powerful gym-built athlete that was Christie. Who do you think were the most talented athletes of past generations, and what times might we see Letsile Tebogo run in 2024? Please leave your thoughts in the comments, and thanks for watching.
Really know where you're at on bench right now. You know what I mean? Pause 2, press 2. What's up, YouTube? I am back. Qualified for the Olympics, won the Olympic trials, getting ready for the London Diamond League, and that will be my only meet before the Olympics. So, feeling good, and I'm here today to tell you guys how to increase your bench, and that is with a proper warm-up. You're gonna have more engagement, you'll have proper muscle recruitment with a proper warm-up, as well as reducing your chance of injury. If you can train more, you're gonna get stronger. So, I'll take you guys through my favorite bench warm-up. It's my go-to, it's my bread and butter. It's what I do every time I'm gonna bench to make sure that I A, stay healthy, and B, bench at my max. The best thing about this bench warm-up is you really don't need a ton of stuff, nothing too super specific. First one to start with is wall slide. So heels to the wall, back to the wall, arms up. I'm gonna come down as far as comfortable, feel that contraction, and go back up. I do sets of 10 to 15. And so the main thing I'm focusing on is trying to keep both back of the palm, back of the hand, elbow, and shoulder all on the wall. It's easy to cheat it and come forward. So keep that, make sure that shoulder, elbow, and palm are all on the wall. Getting that shoulder girdle to move. And if you lack thoracic spine mobility, you'll feel that as well. So this is the one I start off with. After that, I'll go into band pull aparts. Right here, arm's length, about shoulder width, just outside. And I'm pulling here, and I'm thinking of pulling back through the elbows. So I'm not pulling here, I'm pulling with the arms straight through the elbows. There's 2 different ways to do this. One is very slow and methodical, but we've already mobilized that shoulder girdle and engaged the posterior, so this is a little bit more dynamic. This is getting ready for a higher intensity bench. So control it, but don't be afraid to go fast. Next one, bent over dumbbell row. And you'll see a theme here. I still, through 3 exercises, haven't really targeted the pecs. I'm targeting everything around it. So that's gonna get me, when I get into the bench, to be able to be set. There's a ton of lat, posterior, engaged when I'm benching, and it takes strain off the pec. If I'm forward, rotated here, it's all pec, and that pec is in a compromised position. So the majority of the warm-up is getting that chest open, supported, and stable. Bent over row, so I'm here, staggered stance, support. You can either have a bench, whatever. I just use this metal pull. This is a 110 dumbbell. Don't have to start at 110 pounds. Go with whatever's comfortable. Knock out 8 reps. Not trying to short arm it. Pulling here, not here.
Attention, this is a public service announcement from Oakley. It works in tea.
What does a robot know about love? It takes a human to translate that leap in our hearts into something we can see and hold. Essie.
All right. Next one, plate circles, 5K plate. I'm gonna start, go up, and then once I get to vertical, I'm gonna turn the thumb internal, and then back. You'll start to feel a stretch on the pec as you go back. So I'm here, rotate, back, feel that stretch. 2, 3, then switch direction. So I'm here, pull, you'll feel the pec there, thumb is in, back down. Don't necessarily have to start with a 5 kilo plate. Actually, I'd strongly recommend not starting with a 5 kilo plate. 2.5 pound, 5 pound, 2.5 kilo, something in that range, and work your way up. So yeah, you don't need to start heavy. You just need to be what's comfortable. This, once again, not about necessarily getting stronger during the warm-up. It's about activating and staying healthy. All right, we're gonna go to the floor for this one. I'm using a 50-pound CMB. You can also use a dumbbell. Anything in that 25, 30-pound range. I've worked up to a 50. So what I'm doing, this is a shoulder set. So I'm pulling the shoulder into the ground as much as I can. So if I'm normally here, I'm trying to push that shoulder blade into the ground as hard as I can. This arm goes here to keep the elbow locked out. And then I'm just gonna rotate here, making sure that I keep pressure into the ground. This one has helped me a lot with my pec issues throughout the years. So shoulder into the ground, pinky in, keeping shoulder into the ground, pinky out. And you'll see there'll be a tendency, if you don't focus on it, pinky in here, and as I rotate, it will come up. And you see like there's space here, and so I'm trying to make sure that that stays set. So I've got band pegs set at about shoulder height. You can, if you got a band, you can go around the rack as well. You're just gonna step into it, band around the shoulder, and this is with a pretty heavy band. You're gonna feel it stretch. You're gonna feel it stretch through the subscap and rhomboid, and then from there, pull the shoulder back, feel it stretch, back, and this is just pretty much continuing with the theme. This warm-up is especially good if you're a student, working a job behind a desk, whatever it might be, anything where you're hunched over. And if I'm sitting, working in a desk, whatever it might be, shoulders are forward, and so those pecs are in a shortened state. And if I go to bench right away, and I've been sitting all day, you're already a little bit compromised. So doing this warm-up has a focus of opening things up, stabilizing the pec, stabilizing the shoulder, allowing you to press optimally and safely. So continuing on, now we'll get into the pec component of the warm-up, and it's just pretty short, because if the shoulder's set, everything's working, it's easy to warm up the pecs, and those warm-up sets of bench will do their jobs properly. I'm here, facing away, and I'm feeling that forward, and you can see the pec contract and relax, contract, relax. As far back as it can go, that band's stretching it back. I'm contracting, reaching as far forward as I can go. And as you warmed up the whole shoulder, the whole posterior, the whole shoulder girdle, this should feel pretty active already. At this point, even though we haven't hit the pecs much at all, the pecs should feel like they're ready to go right away, because they're not impinged, they're in the proper position, everything around them is working and engaged.
Oh no.
Last one, set the band, arm at 90 degrees here, this height. I'm here, inwards, 9, 10, and then I step out, and I go from open to neutral. And I'll take this one big step from here out. This one is relatively weaker. And it's pretty intuitive. If I want to adjust the band tension, step over, increase the tension. If I need less, step back, decrease it. This is with a lighter band, so I'm here, out, and then step to here, and I go here to neutral. All of this is stable, and I'm just focusing on this. I'm not elbow out. You can kind of cheat this if you want, but if you're cheating the warm-up, you're not getting the most out of it. Done with the left. And then the last exercise is I stand here, and I'm gonna make the pressing motion while it's under tension. And you'll feel a lot of contraction on the pec. This is a high pec contraction movement. So I'm following that same plane position that I would bench in, and feeling that pec squeeze and hold in. This should be easy, light. You don't want to pushed weight on this movement, but that's the final step. So now I'll turn around, do the same thing, and I'm ready to start benching. Just because I did this doesn't mean I can skip all my bench sets, all my warm-up sets. You're still gonna wanna progress 1, 2, possibly 3 sets before you get into your working set. So still hit your warm-up sets and bench, but I think if you do this warm-up, especially if you haven't been doing a bench-specific prep warm-up, you're gonna notice right away you're pressing better, your strength numbers will go up, you'll feel better, shoulders will be healthier. This has been a key as I've gotten older and my bench numbers have gotten higher to keep me healthy, keep me progressing, and keep me pressing heavy weights. I'm gonna knock out some auxiliary work here. Thank you for tuning in. If you guys are interested in supplements, check out Thorne. The link is in the description. If you create an account or if you've made an account in the past, you get 15% off, and that savings goes to supporting the channel. Also Cameo, I know a lot of athletes have finished up their season. If you have a teammate or a coach or any individual that impacted you this season and you just want to say thank you, it's a great way I can help you send that message. So check out Cameo. That link is also. Thanks guys, go out there, throw some bombs, and have a great day.